Is Leon Cook. He's Director of UK Public Affairs for APCO Worldwide. That's a global public affairs and strategic communications consultancy. Leon, why don't I give you a crack at the question I asked him? You know, Theresa May called for the snap election. Experts called it a masterstroke. If the exit poll is right, though, this looks like it could be a key blunder. She didn't have to call this election at all.
Good evening. Absolutely, you're right. And I think this has played massively into the hands of Donald Tusk and Michel Barnier and all of those Eurocrats who wanted to get a better deal out of the Brexit negotiations, which have to start in 11 days or are due to start in 11 days. This is the election that ultimately was unlosable, and as current projections stand, that is exactly what is going to happen. Theresa May, a lot of conjecture this evening as to whether she will be the Prime Minister in the morning. Hopefully that is not too wild an accusation or concern, but Jeremy Corbyn of the Labour Party, we were very, very happy with the way they've performed, and ultimately this is an election that didn't need to happen, and Brexit, the central issue of which this was supposed to be revolve around and strengthen her hand in those negotiations, exact opposite has actually occurred as a result of this.
Leon, in the past, exit polls have been wrong. They've been pretty good of late. As the vote counting continues, what should we be keeping our eyes on to see whether or not things are breaking the way the exit poll suggests?
Well, the projections were that Labour were going to do very, very well in London, which voted predominantly for Remain in the EU referendum. But when you're seeing projections of potentially Conservatives losing Hastings, where the Home Secretary Amber Rudd is sitting, or even Kensington and Chelsea, which is about as rubber-stamped a Conservative seat as humanly possible, then you know things aren't quite moving the way they want them to. That said, the early results of the evening thus far suggest that the Labour swing in marginal seats has not been as extensive as potentially the exit poll would suggest. I would also say that in 2015, with the exit poll projected that the Conservatives would be the largest party, in the end they actually ended up with a majority of 12. So as your reporter said, it is too early to tell. However, there will be a lot of sweaty palms and very concerned people within Conservative Central Office through the night.
I was reading a quote from Stephen Fielding. He's a political science professor at the University of Nottingham. He said even if she doesn't get the numbers that people were predicting, just even eking out just a narrow win, she'll win the election, but she'll be weaker for it. Jeremy Corbyn will lose the election, but he'll be stronger for it. So shake things out for us in terms of winners and losers. How does this thing play out if the numbers do kind of stand up?
Well, there are lots of other personalities. You should also say that in Scotland, I'm not sure that the numbers will stack up for the SNP, but Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister there, is projected to drop down to about 34 seats. I'm not sure that is going to be the case, but that will weaken her hand in terms of calls for a second Scottish referendum. Ruth Davidson, the Conservative Scottish leader, has done very well and hopefully will gain seats there, and that will strengthen her cause for any potential future leadership bid. Jeremy Corbyn, from the event I've just come from, I wouldn't say groans, but the mood amongst the Labour camp, the moderates, the progressives, is one of he will remain and ultimately will fight potentially a second election in the autumn of this year. And as for Theresa May, unfortunately, she came into this role. She's not been a Prime Minister for any more than a year, and in that time she was seen as a strong leader, someone that was trustworthy and reliable, and as a result of one blunder after another with regards to the manifesto and U-turns and not participating in debates, she's actually undermined her own position, and as a result of that, the Conservative Party is not one that is known for kindness towards its leaders, and therefore she could absolutely be in jeopardy.